What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. It is Sunday. Camp is done, I believe. You have basically the second scrimmage, so I'm not sure the exact way you characterize it, but pretty much a lot of the competition of finding out who's going to play what role in the team, at least to start, is done. Not that competition is ever done, but as far as like that really intense camp period is done. Now we're starting to shift slowly into Notre Dame mode with 2 weeks to go. So it's a very, very important time. A lot of action going on. I'm going to talk about basically what's happening, man. It's an exciting time. As I mentioned, a lot of people just confident and fired up about the state of the program. I'm one of them. So we'll talk about playmakers emerging, guys that are really, really showing themselves and that could be big factors on this ball club. First, talk about some folks that are always big factors. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Chat's going crazy already, man. People are fired up on this Sunday. You want to know who balled in today's scrimmage? One thing I'll say is I can't say too much specifics on the scrimmage exactly just because we're not supposed to do that. But I can give you some general thoughts and things that are going on here. Shout out to Miss Tony. Appreciate you in the chat. Now we know it's official. But here's the deal. So the vibe around that practice, and there were a lot of boosters there, family members, scrimmage. And I will say people left with a smile on their face, coaching staff, just seeing Mario around, man. This is a confident coach. Obviously, he's always working hard. He's always losing sleep over the next edge. He's so wired and he's so dialed into what he's doing. But, there's a difference between maybe like 2022 where you're nervous because you don't know kind of what you got in the holster there. And then what you have now, which is a really, really deep roster, a lot of just great kids, great personalities, people that are doing things the right way. And it's no secret. It took a lot of recruiting, it took a lot of work, took a lot of money, right, to have a roster of this quality with just, again, the talent and the personalities, the intelligence, the character that you have there. But it's there, man. And I know people have heard this over the years, but I'm telling you, this is the best roster that I've seen. And it's really coming together. And I'll talk about some specifics here in a second. Appreciate you, One Cadet. Trying our best, man, to keep this thing rolling. But yeah, like Cognizant Cars here saying, can't wait for this ride. Best I felt overall in a long time. So I want to start with something that I've talked about a lot, but I'm talking about this a lot for a reason. It's because it continuously shows up on Green Tree and at Cobb, which is the little field right next to Green Tree. And that is the class of 2025, the freshmen. When they signed, there was a lot of kind of, mixed emotions, right? You didn't add a lot of people to the class late. You lost a couple commits. The momentum was not there. You did not have a top 10 class on paper. So there was just a lot of negative feelings around the class. And that's not just the fans. The coaches were upset about the guys they lost and everything else. But seeing these guys for a whole camp now and seeing day after day, not only are you seeing consistent performers from that class, you're seeing new names emerge that you didn't even have in the picture. So we'll just start at the top. Somebody that I want to highlight because I haven't talked about him a ton on the show, but is really, really starting to emerge. And that is Jabari Antoine, the cornerback out of Louisiana, 4-star player, committed to LSU. Miami flips him last year. Then he tears his ACL. So you're like, oh, man, we just got this great player at Louisiana. Now he's hurt. Who knows what's going to happen? Comes here in spring, rehabs, comes out in camp wearing the big knee brace. Had some moments early, but kind of up and down. He's rehabbing, trying to get up to speed. Let me tell you, the light has come on. It's not even a light necessarily because it's a physical thing, but now I think the confidence in that bum leg is there, and he's moving great, and he is just playing really, really good football, both not just coverage-wise and breaking the passes at the catch point. There's a long player, 6'1", but the physicality in the run game, sideline to sideline, throwing around his body, We've had some padded practices here, including a scrimmage. So we're seeing who can hit and who can really sacrifice their body and make plays. And he is doing that. So I really want to highlight that name in particular because it is an emerging name. This was a big-time player. The injury maybe put him to the background a little bit. You added a lot of guys in the portal as far as, Xavier Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, guys like that. So maybe the name gets pushed down a little bit, but he definitely wants to play this year. He wants to contribute to the team, and he is doing an outstanding job. So I want to highlight Jabari Antoine from Louisiana because he is one of those guys that is emerging. I'm saying his name for a reason. This guy's making plays, run and the pass. And just in general, man, we talk about this class. A guy like Gerard Pringle, right? So full pads, scrimmage setting, you're going to learn more about these running backs. And I think we know that we got some really, really good older players. Jordan Lyle, Mark Fletcher, Marty Brown. Hard to beat that 1-2-3 punch. Chris Wheatley-Humphrey, we talked about him on a recent show, continues to show really, really good ability. His jump cut is as good as it gets on this roster. And he's a real guy that can rush for yards and make plays at this level. There's no question about that. Now, Gerard Pringle, the freshman, we know his speed, but it's hard to know just how they're going to hold up in full contact till you see it. This is a guy who can get it done in full contact. He is not a soft player by any means. He's not even a weak player, even though he's on the shorter side. He's strong, but then he's tough, and then the speed is absolutely elite. So I think Miami definitely hit on their running back in that class. He's another name I want to highlight because he's one that is emerging, that is making plays and moving up the list here. Some other names I want to highlight from this class, and it's going to sound familiar. Wide receiver, right? I can't say enough, and I've been saying it since spring, so this is not a new thing. This wide receiver class is absolutely a home run class, in my opinion. You heard me talking about Malachi Tony. I don't know what more you need me to say. He is going to be a major factor this year. His consistency is just off the charts. The trustworthiness and reliability that he plays with, also a factor in the punt return game. Josh Moore, always impressing people with what he can do. Catch radius wise, he can run better than you think for someone that size, and just a really, really big time athlete. And then Dalen Upshaw, kind of the sneaky one, continues to make plays, run routes, contested catches. He can do a lot of things. I really think all three of those guys are keepers. I think you could see all three at some point this year. Certainly, Tony, I think, is going to be a big factor, both as a receiver and also a punt returner. But really, I think you'll see all three of those guys this year. And I really like that class. Tight end, we talked about a lot. One name I've been mentioning more and more lately, Luka Gilbert, 6'7", up to 263, 265 from Cincinnati, Ohio. Huge. You see him. It's hard to miss him because of the height, because of the strength. And he's a good looking 6'7". He's not a gangly guy. He's not an awkward guy. I mean, he just looks the way you want it to look. And then we've talked about his blocking. He likes to block. He was a blocker in high school. He obviously has the size of over 260 pounds. But this guy can really catch the football. And I think that was something that was maybe lost during the evaluation process of him. Everybody's like, oh, he's going to be a tackle or something like that. This guy's a tight end. He can run routes. He's coordinated, and he can really, really catch. Natural hands catcher. And he's been showing, including lately in very competitive situations, we just had a scrimmage, the ability to just extend his body. And if you throw it up there, he'll have the ability to come down with it. He is very, very just unique with the combination of size and coordination that he has. He could be up to 270 and still be able to run and get open and catch the ball. So, shout out to Luka Gilbert. We talked about Dante Simpson before, Kellen Wiley, some of the things that those guys can do. Bryce Fitzgerald, again, I'll continue to mention. Bryce Fitzgerald is a unique playmaker in that secondary because of his combination of the ball skills, the size. I mean, this is a big safety. He's 190 pounds, almost 6 foot. And the physicality has been showing up here, which is a big question on him. But his ball skills, running a 4-3, 4-4, it changes the game because he can cover too now. He can line up a corner and cover you in pass coverage. Even if he's not intercepting the ball, he's changing throws because he covers so much ground. And he's just such a smooth athlete. So we've been worried about safety, rightfully so. He's a guy who I think at the safety position, if he keeps tackling the way he's tackling and being physical like he is, you're talking about somebody who can really, really change games at that position. And it's hard to compare him to other guys that we've had recently at safety because, like, if you look at some of the good safeties we had lately, Cam Kitchens, Jaquan Johnson, they just weren't as athletic as this guy. This guy's a unique athlete, one of the best athletes in the room. I mean, in the class, in the building. So shout out to Bryce Fitzgerald, other guys making plays as well. But I wanted to highlight those names because I just think this class of 2025 is going to be one of those that we look back and we say, we didn't feel great about this on signing day, but we feel great about it now. And I think a lot of these guys are going to play, especially just the guys I named. I don't know at what point we're getting there, but you're going to see all these guys, I think, play at different points of the season. And the other guys I haven't mentioned as well who can make an impact. I'm just singling out these. Chris Ewald is one who made a lot of really good plays. He was battling on the outside and showing what he can do. Chris Ewald is a very, very smart, technically sound player. He's got length. He's got athleticism. He's someone who can really help you potentially as early as this season. PJ Shaw says, if these freshmen are so good, it just makes me wonder about the guys we lost out on: Jabari Flowers, Drake Stubbs, Dallas Wilson. I mean, look, we wanted those guys, so obviously it's not like we just dropped those guys. They could play, but I think what matters is the guys that we hit on, we hit on, and we feel pretty good about what those guys can do. And again, not just down the road, not just 3 years in, but right now. Some of the names I mentioned, I think you'll be seeing making plays right away. And for this football team try to win the ACC championship. So, class of 25, man, those are some very good names at positions that really we needed help. Right, safety, man, Bryce Fitzgerald can be that guy. That's a huge question mark off the table. Wide receiver, you might be set for a few years now with those guys if you keep them together, and then add pieces around them. They're still upperclassmen that can play. Dante Simpson at defensive tackle, that's a position you could not just strike out on. You needed a guy there. So adding him to the table, you feel pretty good. Philly Kane asked me, did I see the Notre Dame press conference? They're concerned about their quarterback play. Yeah, I think they're going to have some issues. Just really based on the fact that if you haven't had a quarterback this whole time as your guy, you're talking about 50% of the snaps, maybe, at least. So these aren't players that have played a whole camp as a starter, whereas Carson Beck, I'm going to talk about here in a second, has been. So that's just a whole different situation. Carson Beck, the second he stepped out with a healthy arm, there's been no question who the starter is, and he's been getting every first-team rep. I don't think maybe I can't even think of very many first-team reps that he has not taken on top of all the experience he already has. That's just a whole different animal when you bring in a guy who's not only not played, but in camp, he's only played 50% of the snaps or less. The preparation level is just totally different. Now, Beck missed spring because of the injury, but it wasn't his first rodeo. He's been in many spring practices before that. So that experience factor, beyond the fact that no one's, from a talent standpoint, steps to the table and sees that job at Notre Dame, I just think the experience factor is going to be huge. Joe B saying, I really like our coaches in the secondary. I think they have something to do with how our secondary is looking in camp as well. I mean, they're proven coaches, guys that with high market value, right? So you know that other teams wanted these coaches, which is positive. And then you give them guys like Xavier Lucas, you give them guys like Ethan O'Connor, you inherit guys like OJ Frederick, Damari Brown, Zechariah Poyser, Jacoby Thomas. His physicality makes a difference out there. We talked about Bryce Fitzgerald. Dylan Day's been doing some things. If you talk about Bobby Pruitt, he's someone that can play linebacker, but also like a safety as well. So he's someone who has versatility. A lot of really good players in that mix. It just looks different from last year. That's you asked me that. What are the biggest differences from last year? Obviously, the scheme is different. I think we're going to know more about that when we see actual games. At least, from the sideline, you could see certain things are different with the stunting and things like that. But yeah, I'll know more during the games. We can really break down the defensive scheme. But the big picture difference for me year to year is just the size of the secondary and the talent in the secondary. These guys just look different. Believe the U says, D-Money, we live and die with Notre Dame on our ability to stop the run. Looking at Minnesota last year, they struggled against the power run games of Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Thoughts? Yeah, I think the personnel is different, right? So I don't know if Minnesota had as many five-star players on the defensive line, but then again, they played a lot better defense than us last year. I think one thing that we can do, and we talked about the corners, and this is not like based on any kind of inside influence scheme. This is just kind of me freestyling. If I'm Miami, I feel pretty confident in OJ Frederick and Xavier Lucas to match up with Notre Dame's receivers. Not that they aren't good players, but they're bigger guys. They're not as dynamic. Match them up with some of the best big corners in the ACC, if not the country, which I think we have. Plus, they're back. I say they're backups. They're not backups because they could start. Damari, Ethan O'Connor, those guys are all in the mix to start. But any one of those guys, you put them against Notre Dame's receivers, I feel pretty good about that matchup. Look, it's football. You can get burned. But I would put more on my corners and then focus more on the run game of Notre Dame than otherwise. That's the big difference. I just think we have the corners to trust outside, even though Notre Dame has improved at the wide receiver position. We've just improved so dramatically at corner. The other part is Notre Dame's run game is going to be outstanding. They were 4th in the country in yards per carry last year. We were 5th. One thing Notre Dame's lost, I know Minchie, if he's a quarterback, can run, but Riley Leonard was like a monster part of the run game. I mean, he was absolutely huge to what they did, running the football. So you remove him, you remove a huge part of what they do. Go look at the national championship game. I think they ran Riley Leonard like 8 straight times on the first drive, it felt like. I mean, watch the first drive Notre Dame scored on. It was run with the quarterback, Riley Leonard, who's a 6th-round pick of the Colts, NFL talent. So I think people have been so focused on Jeremiah Love, and rightfully so. But my opinion is that people have not focused as much on Riley Leonard and what it means to lose him. Because Riley Leonard was not just a guy. Yeah, he had some issues throwing, but he got drafted. And he got drafted for a reason. He can't throw enough to get drafted by the NFL. And then running-wise, he was an incredibly important piece of their running game. So I just think when you look at that loss, that's going to affect their running game more than people think. Not that it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be something we have to deal with, but I think that's going to be something. By the way, they had to stop our running game. And just like they were number 4 last year with a running quarterback, we were number 5 last year without that running game at the quarterback. It was just straight power. We never lost yardage. I think we were top 5 in avoiding negative plays, if not number 1. And we were converting first downs. So, all of these things are going to be put to the test on that first day. But we got Motori, who's been outstanding. We've got Wesley Basaint, who was laying some lumber out there today. I think he's going to have an outstanding year next to Motori and the other backers, Kamal Bonner, all these other guys. But we'll see, man. It's going to be toe-to-toe. Kevin Dennis saying Leonard gave us issues in 2022. I agree. I mean, he was not just like a Notre Dame creation. This guy's always been good. As Jared Barr says, he always picked up the 3rd and 4. Came through a 5 says reports out of South Bend are saying this is the best receiving core under Freeman. I mean, I'd agree with that. I mean, Greathouse made a ton of plays from the playoffs last year. They had Faison, the lacrosse player, who was good. And then they added Malachi Fields from Virginia, who's a good, productive ACC receiver, big guy. So, yeah, sure it is. Like, a receiver's not a weakness like it's traditionally been for Notre Dame. I would say it's a slight strength. But I would say corner for us, which has been a weakness historically, is now a higher-end strength, in my opinion. I think these are the best corners in the ACC as a group. DY saying, what's up? Now the scrimmage is over. What's the next stage for the team? Because classes start this week. Are they going to Notre Dame prep now? I mean, I think it's getting into Notre Dame prep. They got a couple days off. They don't practice till Wednesday, I believe. So a couple days off as they get ready, get acclimated to class, and get going to where they got to go. I know Ford's asking, who's the most hyped camp freshman over the last 3 years between Bain, Lofton, and Malachi Tony? I mean, Frederick was getting a lot of hype this year, too, around this time. They're all great players, man. I think here's the good news about all those camp freshmen you're talking about. They're still on the team, right? We still have Mawanoa. We still have Ruben Bain. We still have OJ Frederick. We still have Lofton. We still have Lyle. And certainly we have Malachi Tony. So yeah, those are just guys are just really good players that we continue to add on. So I'll fire it up. Another name I should talk about, Carson Beck, right? So Carson Beck, he had a practice, and I don't think I'm in trouble for saying this, but it was a practice in front of a lot of boosters. It was like the Golden Canes practice. And he wasn't necessarily his sharpest. He finished strong, but he wasn't necessarily his sharpest. Threw a couple picks. And I get texts from people that were there like, hey, man, I'm a little worried about Beck, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, he has responded to that off day with just unbelievable play. I mean, Carson Beck is on fire right now. And I really, really think he is going to be a strength of this team. And when you talk about what he does well, we talked about a lot, the vision, the size, the arm strength, twitchiness. We talked about all the things that Beck brings. We talked about him a lot. But one thing I don't know if we've emphasized enough with Beck, and really over the last 2 practices, I've seen it. Beck's release is absolutely outstanding. I mean, Beck is extremely, extremely quick with his release in a way that, Ward was also. So we had a really quick release with Ward. We took it to the NFL. But Beck's just twitchiness and that ability to really, really let it go with velocity is outstanding. And I think that's something that we've been seeing the last couple practice. We've seen since he got here. The last couple practice, man, he's really dealing. Another thing with Beck that really impresses me, and it's something you can see on film, is Beck has the ability, and without saying too much specifics, you saw it in the scrimmage today, Beck has the ability to place the ball where only his receiver can get it. So back shoulder throws, those really tight placement throws, he's very, very good at those, and he's very confident in throwing those. So he's going to trust his receiver to make the adjustment, whether it's CJ Daniels, JoJo Trader, guys that are very good at those adjustments. He'll trust those guys, the tight ends, to make the adjustment, and he'll just throw it to the back shoulder and do it accurately and on time. So I think that's a strength of Beck that we've been seeing consistently here. Mo, appreciate you saying Beck for Heisman. Birdstone, smash that like button. It's free. Shout out to the villains. Yeah, like and subscribe. Shout out to all the villains in the chat, Streeter, X, the whole crew. Hurricane Sean asks, which quarterback you think will start for Notre Dame? I don't know, but Minchie runs better, and their offensive coordinator likes running quarterbacks. So not option quarterbacks, but guys that can run. So I think that'd be a thing in his favor. Big guy. I was watching a lot of Minchie highlights and what he did in the spring game and limited time in games. Big guy, good arm, really good arm. His decision making is not the best yet. He definitely still looks like a young quarterback. I think if you put him in the game, you probably simplify for him a lot, but he can run a little bit. He can make throws. He has plenty of arm strength and physical strength. He's like a good kid. So yeah, he'd cause problems. I'd probably rather face the other guy with CJ Carr just because he can't run. But this guy, when I say he runs, he's not Lamar Jackson either. Billy Kane saying Beck can also run. Yeah, we've seen him run. He's someone who he's not a running quarterback, but if you give him grass, he's going to pick it up pretty fast, and he will also take the easy check down. But again, he's not check down Charlie. Beck will throw it down the field. He is aggressive, quick trigger player, mentally and physically with that quick release. Billy Kane saying think he will be a top 10, if not top 5 pick because he doesn't have to force throws. It's possible, man. You hear Klubnik being talked about as that kind of quarterback. I've seen Klubnik and Beck on the same field, and the guy that looked very, very much more athletic was Carson Beck. And VR saying, I guess, a Notre Dame fan, so Beck can run, but Carr can't. No, Carr can run a little bit. I think Minchie of the 3 guys, Carr, Beck, and Vince and Minchie he's the best runner. So I'm not saying Carr can't run. I'm saying that of the 2, Minchie's of the 3, really, Minchie's the guy that runs the best. Whereas Carr and Beck are more just like guys that can be athletic. CF Kane fan, do you think the atmosphere will be the same as the last time Notre Dame was here? I hope so. I think so. It's going to be first game of the year, packed. It's going to be absolutely insane. Night game. People are going to be drinking all day. It's going to be absolutely nuts. We got some partnerships we're hopefully going to announce next week for game day that we're excited about. JR Bar says, as foolish of our opponents to sleep on Beck, they will learn a painful lesson. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be, if you are sleeping on Beck, let them. I wouldn't trade him for any quarterback in the ACC and really the SEC. There's some very talented young guys, but as far as being proven, he's that guy. NPR saying Michigan's a pocket passer that can extend plays if needed. He threw for 5,000 yards in high school. No, I agree. He's not Lamar Jackson in terms of his ability to run. Now, Lamar Jackson can throw pretty good too. But Michigan's not a guy that's like a true runner. I just think of the three, he's probably the best runner. And his arm is good. If I'm a Notre Dame fan, my concern with Mitch should be decision making. You watch that spring game, he made some pretty questionable decisions, which is expected. He's a young player. I think I'm impressed by him. I think he actually will be a very good player, but that's probably more down the road than game one in a very loud stadium. Nico Cooper saying, why are people afraid to say Beck is all around more athletic and has a stronger arm than Ward? That doesn't diminish Ward at all. I wouldn't say that. I really, just being honest, and I'm a Beck believer. I think Beck is a first round quarterback all day, and it could be as good as anybody. But I don't think that he's like Ward's arm is really, really strong. He's the first pick of the draft for a reason. I think he's probably the stronger arm quarterback. Beck maybe comparable in that category, at least like in the pocket. I think Ward's ability to throw from different angles is a little with velocity and accuracy is a little bit ahead of Beck. And I would say just seeing the field, Beck is a third baseman, right? So Beck operates like a third baseman, big guy, athletic, good arm, Manny Machado, whatever, Nolan Arenado. I think when you think about Ward, he's a combo guard, right? So he's Dwayne Wade. He's seeing the field. If he needs to keep it and run like he did against Cal or whoever, he can do that. If he needs to throw it, he'll throw it. He just kind of sees the whole field and attacks. He's always in attack mode, always in decision-making mode, ball in his hands. I think you're talking about a combo guard in basketball versus a third baseman in baseball. And that third baseman is not going to have the whole peripheral vision of a basketball guard. That's why Ward was throwing from crazy angles, seeing crazy angles, trying things that Beck, I don't think, is going to do those things. But he doesn't really have to because he's going to get rid of it faster. He's going to be more traditional in the pocket. Quick. Both guys have really quick releases. Both guys have really quick minds. They just do it a little differently. But I think we're going to look. You could have 2 back-to-back first-round picks. Hopefully 2 NFL starters. Then you have him, Herbert, and Ward, right? Beck, Ward, Herbert. If you get 3 NFL starters, 3 first-round picks, Mario Cristobal's system, now you're starting to look a little more like quarterback U, which is what it's supposed to be like. Josh Sharnoff saying Ward is more risky, if that makes sense. No, it does make sense. I think he has the ability to really make some crazy throws and be bendy. A couple questions about the kicking game. So here's what I would say. I think these guys are both making kicks. Auburn has great experience, and I think that's going to help him. But I actually wanted to highlight, and I meant to do this on the last show, but I didn't. And I want to make sure I highlighted him. I was just actually talking to his mom in practice earlier. Carter Davis, this guy's leg is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, he has one of the strongest legs that I've seen at Miami in a while. He bombed some very, very long kicks from Western High School, East Fort Lauderdale, Florida, formerly FAU's kickoff guy. And now he's becoming more of a field goal kicker. But man, I am just blown away by this guy's leg strength, whether he's kicking touchbacks or kicking field goals. And by the way, he's a lot more of a factor in terms of kicking field goals than people think. He's going to be an interesting one to watch. You see Canes, I know he was at the practice, that Golden Games practice. He says he can boot. Yeah, this guy really, his leg strength is, I was talking to people about his leg strength, and it's unique. So it's an very interesting player. I can't wait to see just how it all looks. Obviously, that's a very tight battle for kicker, with Bert Auburn having the experience edge. I would say in terms of a leg edge, I would give that to Davis, just in terms of raw kicking ability. So a good battle there. This is not going to be a Bubba Baxa situation. It's probably going to be a step back from Andres Borregales because he's the best kicker we ever had. But some interesting talents in the room, and I think we have a chance to be good there. Just you got to kind of see how it unfolds in the games, but don't sleep on Carter Davis. I'll say that right now. Shaboy Kane, after 2 scrimmages and just 2 weeks from the opener, how are you feeling about the team overall compared to last year at the same time? Last year, we were worried about the secondary. It's not retrospect. That's not, Monday morning quarterbacking. You go back and look at all those old shows, articles, whatever. Everybody was worried about the secondary, the depth, the talent overall. What I think we didn't expect, I didn't expect, was the defensive line to fall off like it did and struggle so much with the alignment, all that movement, just not perform the way they did the year prior, both as a unit and collectively. So that was a surprise. And then the overall confusion with Guidry, I didn't think it was going to be that confusing. That's not what I expected. I thought it was going to be a much tighter unit with their second year in Guidry. That was not the case. Guidry's not here anymore. So some of that stuff I didn't expect. And look, we didn't even see that stuff really until week 4, week 5, because we killed UF on defense, and then we were good in defense the other couple games until Virginia Tech. So those things didn't even emerge until later. But at this point last year, what I was worried about was the secondary depth. This year, there's no position at all that concerns me anywhere near secondary. I think we're good at every position. And I say that honestly. I really do think we're good at every single position. Are we elite at every position? No. I mean, do we have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson catching passes? No. I mean, I'm not saying that we're just a perfect team, but I think we're a very balanced team with no weakness. Doesn't mean we have overwhelming strengths everywhere and like we're just unbeatable. That's not what I say when I say we have no weakness. I mean that there's just no area of the team that sticks out like a sore thumb talent-wise. That's being totally honest. LMT says he's about to drop a stack in the Miami Hurricane team store. What's the promo code, D-Money? Go Canes. That's going to be Insight 20. I got to get these promo codes right. I got too many of them. Insight 20. That's on at MiamiHTS.com or in the store. Same thing. Insight, like the name, CanesInSight. Insight 20. 20% off your first item. Appreciate your support. 305 Shaman asking, will our receivers be as good as we need them to be blocking? Yeah, I think they'll be fine blocking. I'm not worried about that. Daniels, Marion, those guys have been around the block. Trader has some nice blocks last year. The young guys are willing, tough players. So yeah, that's not something I'm worried about. Bart Keyhole asking, how many position groups do you think will be the best in the ACC and the FBS? I'm not going to say, here's the ones I'll say that I have a chance to be. I'm not saying they are the best. I'm saying they have a chance to be. Quarterback, Carson Beck has a chance to be. Klubnik, I get it, but Beck was better than Klubnik when you saw him on the same field, and he was certainly considered better all the way really up till the end of this last year. So if he bounces back, I think you can see Beck as the best quarterback in the ACC. Not saying he will be. I'm saying these are the positions that I think you could see ranked at the top. Running back, certainly think so. Louisville is very explosive running back, but if you're talking about size, overall talent, this is you talk about Marty Brown, what he's shown, some lateral quickness that I think surprised people. We talked about Pringle and Wheatley Humphrey. Jordan Lyle, just a complete stud with game-breaking ability. And Mark Fletcher, we all know what Fletcher can do just as a physical presence, an incredible all-around football player. I think running back, we are the best running backs and certainly have a chance to be the best running backs. Other positions, tight end, you never know, right? Lofton's such a unique weapon, and then Bauman starting to make some plays. Offensive line, I think we are the best. Defensive line, I think on paper you would say Clemson, but that if a guy like Ruben Bain becomes the defensive player of the year, if Messidor has a good senior year, if those young defensive tackles like Justin Scott emerge, Moden, Blay, all the things they're capable of doing, Marquise Lightfoot, who can really explode, Armando Blunt. So, defensive line is a chance. The corners, I think they are the best in the ACC, in my opinion. Safety, probably not, but I think we're going to be better there. Linebacker, the best linebackers in the ACC, you got to go with Pittsburgh. They got two guys who are first team all conference type players. But don't sleep on the combination of Wesley and Torrey with everybody behind him. We got guys there. With size and ability to move around. So that sounds like I'm saying we're the best at every position. I don't think we're the best at every position. I think we have a chance to be the best at a lot of positions, but they got to do it. And other teams got to do what they do, right? That's why you play the games. I'm just saying that we have enough horses that I can say that conversation without feeling like I'm crazy. Just Jay saying, I think DT is a strength. Blay, Moden, and Scott are beasts. That's possible too. I wouldn't put that outside the realm. Mrs. G, concerned I'm not hearing about CJ Daniels making plays. Well, Mrs. G, I can tell you, CJ Daniels is making plays. Made a lot of plays today in the scrimmage. He's going to be just fine. He's a starter, right? So he's a starter, and he's going to do his thing as a starter. some scrimmage reports starting to leak out. I'm kind of curious what people are allowed to say. Because I know we don't want Miami doesn't want to get too much stuff coming out. Okay, my guy David Lake, a pretty light report. Yeah, keeping it broad. Play Notre Dame first game. I wish I could give you more, but if we were playing Ball State first game, I tell you all the guys scoring touchdowns and making plays. But it's a little different when Notre Dame's on the schedule and you got Notre Dame fans all over the chat trying to gather information. We got exactly 1,900 on right now. Remember to like and subscribe to the show. Appreciate everybody joining us. We're on every single day, multiple times a day. And I can tell you, there were a lot of boosters at practice, and one of the boosters walked up to me, and he told me that he was going out to eat after the scrimmage. Actually invited me to eat, but I couldn't join him. But he told me where he was going. And of course, he was going to our friends at Duffy's Tavern, unique watering hole on the edge of Coral Gables. This is a Miami institution. I mean, you look at them, they're now accepting credit cards. Yes, really. How many likes did they get on this post? 717, man. These are people that have been around the block forever. Now they're coming up to the times a little bit while at the same time keeping that traditional flavor. There's your team right there. The guys remaking Duffy's. Look at this quote. I love it. Legends never die. The old Duffy's Tavern is under new ownership. So you see these guys pulling up right here, getting some food. They already know how delicious it is. It's always a good time, man. Look at those chips. Those chips are addictive. I had about 400 of those chips when I visited the store. But you got all kinds of items there. I like the Death Dog. There you see on the wall, all those. You see that, look at that Cane memorabilia on the wall. You see those national championship newspapers and everything. This is a Canes institution going back to at least the 70s. The former players there. There's our man Junior, part of the team, taking this place to another level. Just an absolutely outstanding spot right there in West Miami at the edge of Coral Gables, about 5 minutes from the University of Miami's campus. 57th. There's not the other Duffy's. This is the real Duffy's, the original Duffy's, the authentic Duffy's. You can tell by the stuff on the wall. This isn't a chain. This is the real deal Holyfield. Look at that food. Shout out to Jose, man, running the show out there. Look at the ribs. You want to be in the real Miami, the real Coral Gables, the real West Miami, Duffy's Tavern. If you know, you know. All right, back to football here. What we hearing about? Ghostface said Mario rarely says that he is happy. He certainly seemed happy in his post-game presser. And there you go. Rogelio says in his post-game presser said he was happy with all three faces. I don't think it's I don't think that's him being a coach speak or whatever. I mean, I think he actually is happy, man. I think he is very, very happy with where the team is, and I don't blame him. Shad's saying only concern is overall team speed. I mean, I think we're fast as a team, right? I think our running backs are really fast. Lyles, they're big, but I mean, Lyles got game-breaking speed. Fletcher has surprising speed. We have Pringle and Wheatley Humphrey who can make big plays, just kind of change of pace backs. I think our tight ends can run all day. Wide receiver-wise, you do not have a Santana Moss kind of guy, but Keelan Marion can make big plays running. Malachi Toney is not slow at all. You have guys. Jojo Trader can make big plays. So maybe that receiver room, you could say you wish you had just a little bit more, just like elite game breakers, but I think you're going to be fast enough there. And I think on defense, you got plenty of speed at every single position, including the linebacker. I think the linebacker is very, very strong this year. Anthony R. asking, which team do I think is more talented? Miami, Notre Dame. I mean, I think they're close. I think when you go back and stack the NFL draft of these teams, are going to be pretty close. I think Notre Dame has just is a more proven program. They were in the championship last year. They got proof of concept. Everybody's bought into the system. Freeman's a great coach. Everybody believes they can do it because they've already done it. So I think that aspect favors Notre Dame heavily. Just the fact that they've done it already and they had such a proven, established system. Talent-wise, I mean, just kind of depends. I think Notre Dame's got really good linebackers. We have good ones too. Notre Dame's really recruited well there. I think Leonard Moore for Notre Dame is incredible. I think Ojo Frederic is incredible on our side. I think we might have a little more corner depth, but Notre Dame's played much better on pass defense the last few years. So it's kind of like you got to prove you're better than the Notre Dame at that position. Although I think we have a chance to do that. You have to give them the edge in terms of what they've done. And then Leonard Moore, I think, is really, really good Defensive line, I think probably we have better recruits if you just go by like recruiting rankings, and I think they're more talented, but they got to prove it. Offensive line, let's say a push, both outstanding. Quarterback, Beck was a guy projected as the first overall pick last year, so he obviously has a lot of talent. He's healthy now. What's going to happen with Notre Dame's quarterbacks is more of a question mark. Jeremiah Love, of all these guys, running back wise, he's going to be the first pick off the board, assuming he stays healthy. Probably you would had to guess. So that's certainly an advantage for Notre Dame. I think wide receiver is pretty similar. Notre Dame's got some good receivers. They're better there than they have been in the past, for sure. So I mean, it's close. It's close. Daniel Rose wants to know, when am I dropping the hype video? Probably the week before the big weekend. So not this week coming up, the following week, maybe Thursday. Drop a hype video. Should be a lot of fun. I'm already working on it. PJ Shaw used to go to Duffy's all the time in grad school when I lived in West Miami. Great specials money wise. Yeah, it is affordable. It is family friendly. It is the best spot in that area by far. It is the staple of West Miami. If you're anywhere around there or a Coral Gables area or a college student, you already know. Mrs. G, we made some great points today. We will play faster on defense, which is important as pure speed. The ability to not to think about where you are on defense, like with last year, some of the alignment stuff was just in the confusion, was causing us to slow down, whereas now it's simplified, so we should be able to play faster. Will it happen? I mean, I don't know. I hope so. But I think we're going to play faster. And I think we just recruited faster, better athletes across the board. Canes Cat, we're hearing any reports from baseball fall workouts. You're always getting the baseball scoop. It's funny. I was asking about this today. I was asking my man, the Orchid Man, who I know is very close to the baseball team, orchidmanflorida.com. If you're interested in landscape, and that's the guy you need to talk to. He's the absolute king of landscaping in South Florida, Orchid Man Florida. Anyways, I was talking to him at the scrimmage because he's plugged in as anybody on both baseball and football. He hasn't heard that much yet. It's still early in baseball. I'll be there at fall ball, though. October, I'll be there. Canes Cat, if you're not at work, you'll probably be out there, too. I'll see you out there. It'll be just us chilling in the empty light watching these guys. I can't wait. Like, in terms of things I'm looking forward to, football season is obviously number one, but that fall ball in October, sitting in that beautiful empty Mark Light with the weather perfect, the parrots flying over, that's clean living right there. Excited for this team. I think it'll be great. Clizzy, do we have a red zone jumbo package with Mawanoa in the backfield with Lofton? Obviously, I'm not going to give away scheme here, but I think we have a lot of guys that have versatility, right? Because, Lofton can play tailback, Lofton can play fullback. I think Mark Fletcher can play both tailback and fullback. You have Lyle, you have Marty Brown, who really, really is opening some eyes with the way he's running in full contact, the quickness, the strength, everything else. He's a real player. So we have a lot of jumbo options. They don't even need to use a Mawanoa. SJ's Josh is suggesting SJ Fatuli with his athleticism, so he can do that too. But I think I'm not going to obviously give away scheme, but I think we have a lot of ways to overpower people without being too gimmicky, just with our straight up players that we have that have versatility and size, which is as good as we've had in a long time. PJ Shaw says, I want to see Lofton go crazy like he did versus Miami Central. Yeah, you and me both, man. He's a versatile dude. And I'm glad he's going to have some help at tight end because, let's say Luka Gilbert and Bauman can play more tight end. It would free Lofton up to do more in the backfield, which is what I'd like to see from him because I think he's really, really good there. Trying to zero in on some guys that impressed me. I mentioned Pruitt, who with that versatility, the ability to play linebacker and safety. I mentioned Carter Davis and just the leg strength he has. Jabori Antoine, all those young guys. Let's see some other players. Just receiver in general, I think was strong today. Carson Beck was very strong, as I mentioned. I always love Armando Blunt, one of my favorite players to watch. He is so fast for how big and strong he is. If you throw like a screen or something sideline to sideline, he's liable to run it down and blow it up. On top of just having the power to get guys off him. There's a guy who finished top 5 in the shot put as a true freshman in high school. So the natural power is there on top of the speed. JR Bar saying, D, are you trying to grow a Mike Ruiz stash? He was out there with the stash today. That just dropped me off in my car. No, I'm not. I just haven't shaved this morning because I woke up and went straight to the scrimmage and went straight here. I got to take a shower after I'm done with this. But, I'm choosing timeliness for the fan base over cosmetics. So is what I do. Green Trail America. How far is Islas from Hard Rock? Driving from Tampa and wondering if I can swing it. Good question. Let's see. So let me see the different locations. I'm doing this off just Google Maps here. So drive from Hard Rock Stadium to Islas. Let's see. There's different Islas Canarias locations. All right, so it's telling me the drive from the Hard Rock to the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. No, I don't think we're talking about that. Yes, that's 30 minutes, and this is to the Tamiami location, like the old one, not the one in Daneland by the university. This is like the actual restaurant, which is in Tamiami, and they're saying about 26 miles, about 30 minutes. So I can tell you this, it's worth it. Anthony Bourdain, when he came down for his show, he drove all the way down from Miami Beach, where I live, to Islas Canarias just to try it, because he had to try the best Cuban food on the planet. So he did it. Miami Dan saying, you're getting us hyped. 16-0, baby. Let's go. We'll see. We'll see, man. I think we're going to have a chance to win every game, which doesn't mean making every game, but you have a chance to win every game, which is all you can ask for. Nick Saban, the devil. Here's from Gomer Pyle, Fart Keyhole. Nick Saban, the devil, made a great point on game day last year. The secondary sets the ceiling on your defense. What other unit on the defense will benefit the most from the DB upgrade? Great question. I mean, I think defensive line. You got guys that, let's think of Armando Blunt, for example. Armando Blunt is big, fast, extremely aggressive. I wouldn't call him like the most like pass rush. Like he's 18 years old, right? So he's not like a 26-year-old with a million pass rush moves in the bank. He's still probably more of a guy that wins with his motor, with his speed, with everything else, and his athletic ability and his power. Let's say he doesn't have that quick pass rush move to get loose. If that coverage is holding down, he can fight his way open, and now he's running and he can run guys down. So I think the defensive line is going to benefit a lot from the improved secondary, but also like the whole defense, because it's not just what they do covering, it's what they give you the ability to do up front, because you could trust your corners in a way you could not trust them last year. When you can't trust your corners, that's going to impact how you play your fronts, how you call the game. So if you could trust your corners, it just makes it so much easier to play defense, which is why these corners get drafted so high in the NFL draft, especially when you have defensive coaches, because you now have the ability to just do different things and not worry about, hey, can I trust, Deani Hill, for example, to hold up against these guys, right? You don't have to worry about that. You got Xavier Lucas, who runs a 4.3, who, even if he does get beat, he's going to be able to chase it down and make it a play because of his just pure horsepower and speed. So, yeah, I think the whole defense is going to benefit from the defensive backfield improvement. And I've said it before, that is the one difference from last year's team that is profound. There's slight differences. Maybe there's even major differences. But as far as like fundamental, profound differences, the secondary. And you guys are going to notice it the first series, first time they throw the ball, it's going to look different with those guys moving around. Almost 2,200 like and subscribe to the show, man. Appreciate everybody joining us. And I got to talk about this because I'm running out of time. This is going to be on Friday. So we're running out of time here. If you guys want to set your calendars, do it, because this is a can't miss situation. And that is Friday, 4:25 p.m. The head coach, Mario Cristobal, at the Miami Hurricane team store. Get ready for the season by shopping for new gear and meeting Coach Cristobal. Again, this is right next to University of Miami, right there on US 1 at the team store. Mark your calendars. This Friday, August 22nd, 4 to 5 p.m. Meet and greet. Be there. Use promo code INSIGHT20. Get 20% off your first item. It's going to be just an unbelievable event. It's a rare deal. Cristobal barely leaves the office during this time. So the fact that he's going out there to meet practices, it's pretty cool. They're to me fans. Sorry, I was reading one of their messages. The fact that he's out there to meet fans is pretty cool. Now, back to practice. Canes Cat, he 305 says, at the practice, I swear it looked like a movie of and they talk about the practice on Friday, which I saw him at. or was it on Thursday? It was on Thursday. I swear, it looked like a movie of aliens versus predators, and we had the predators in the secondary. I'm telling you, you go out there, that's the first thing you notice. The first thing you notice is, how it looks. 904 Hurricane says blue chip ratio, ND 73, Miami 64%. I respect that blue chip ratio, but I think the transfers and some of the other stuff's kind of made it kind of obsolete in a way. I don't know, obsolete, but they got to recalibrate it because these teams are so different in terms of just how they're put together. But Notre Dame's recruited well. We've recruited well. So we have a lot of 5 stars. They have some 5 stars. Heavyweight battle. 2 top 10 teams, man. I don't think one team is particularly has a huge talent advantage over the other. I don't. And if anybody thinks that, I hope Notre Dame thinks that they do. I don't think they do. I'm sure they probably pretty respect what Miami's doing because they recruited these guys. So they know what Miami has. I think Miami's portal's allowed them to get a lot better. Leave to you. How are you feeling about our linebacker depth? I'm concerned about our overall ceiling there. I mean, I feel great. I wish, we had John Vilma and DJ Williams. I mean, yeah, DJ Williams is out there. Both of them were actually out there at practice. They look great. Those guys could probably strap it on and play right now. So, yeah. Did we have maybe more linebacker talent on the sideline? Yes. That's a pretty rare situation. But as far as like Mo Touré and Wesley Bassainth, I think those guys are going to be really, really good players, man. I love Wesley Bassainth. I think he's going to be great. He's up to 230. He can run. He can hit. He was laying people out today. Mo Touré, 2019 class, experienced, big. One tidbit on Touré I wanted to get to. Big, fast, playing great. Him and Heatherman are really tight, as you've heard. During one of these practices a couple days ago, there was like an in-between drills, and they just had time. Like everybody was just kind of standing around, which is rare at these practices because they're so high intensity. But Heatherman, who was a quarterback in college, which is funny because he's a defensive coordinator, but he's a quarterback in college. He started just beaming the ball at Touré, and Touré was just catching, just kind of working on his hands. And it was like a full speed, intense drill where Heatherman was just beaming it at Touré, and Touré was making great catches. But a lot of it was, just to kind of get extra work in. It wasn't really for fun. It was for extra work. And it shows you how tight him and Heatherman are. Canes Cat, he 305. Mo Touré looks like a predator. Yeah, he definitely looks the part in his pads. That's for sure. Sean Caldwell asked about Jordan Campbell from Northwestern. I didn't see that game. I have to go back and watch it, but I heard he was awesome in that game. I got a lot of texts that Jordan Campbell looked incredible, and he's committed. Those things are always kind of up for grabs, but he's committed. Josh says we've heard about those two, but who are 3 and 4 in there at linebacker? Anybody separate yet? I mean, guys that I think will be in the mix. Kamar Bonner from NC State with what he can do. I think he's an arrow up guy. He got here later. He's new to the system. It's not like Touré got here in summer also, but Touré was coming to a system that he's already played in with Heatherman. So he had an advantage there. I think Kamar Bonner is starting to learn and develop, but he's developing very fast. We talked about Kellen Wiley. I know we got Kellen Wiley on the chat. He's going to be an incredible player. Bobby Pruitt, again, the versatility, linebacker / safety. So you'd really do a little bit of both depending on what you need him to do. So those are some names that kind of jump out. But Popo Aguirre, sorry, I should have mentioned him. Popo Aguirre is out there. He's going to be a factor. And then Chase Smith's getting a lot of playing time. So that's a deep group at linebacker. I don't talk about Popo Aguirre enough. I should. He's going to be in the mix as well. He's a playmaker. He's made he finds a way to the ball, kind of like he did against Louisville last year where he had that fumble return. Mo Hussein, pack the rock all season. The beach is always open. He's right. Saturdays are for the Canes. I was actually at the beach yesterday trying to get my beach in before the season starts. Mo saying, I miss your super chat. I don't think that's one you were talking about, right? There's another one, let me know. But yeah, I'm always spreading that message. Pack the rock all season. The beach is always open. I can confirm. Beach was awesome yesterday, though, man. We were playing some football. It is hot out there. But you had to get it in because those Saturdays are going to be booked for the next, 3 months. Let's see what's going on. We're almost at 2,300. Yeah, like and subscribe to the show. Trigger one. Hopefully we don't have to switch our punt returner's jersey to number 35 this year. Yeah, I think that it's funny how a jersey number makes such a difference. Emery switched to number 8. Now everybody's talking about how much more athletic he looks, myself included. He does look more athletic. I'm sure that's a lot of hard work on his body and on his quickness, but the 8 helps instead of the big 17. Ray has not been wearing 35. He's been 5 all year. They got to figure out a better system for that. Anthony Guadagnino is asking about the starting offensive lineman who got hurt, Jagasaw. Can't imagine he's ready for our game. Ant saying he's out for a few months. I mean, I heard if it's Jagasaw, I had not gotten the update. I assumed he was probably going to be tough for this game as far as the timing. He had an ATV accident, I believe, where broke his arm. He's really, really talented. Ant, let me know if I'm wrong. I know we got Notre Dame fans in the chat. My understanding from Notre Dame fans before the injury was that he might have been the most talented on a really talented offensive line. So, it's not a good loss, but fortunately it's camp. We're going to have injuries too. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. We've been very blessed with health, but there's still time and people get hurt in the game. So, you just knock on wood when it comes to injuries. But yeah, Jagath's was a big loss for him. I'd heard, like Ant's confirming it in the chat, I'd heard that he was just like the most talented of a very talented group. But Notre Dame's going to play great offensive line. They missed a lot of guys last year. That's the thing about Notre Dame, is that last year they had really 8 guys that were starting caliber because they missed a lot of guys. The guys got hurt, and then they had people step in that weren't slated to start. Sam Pendleton, who's now at Tennessee. Coogan, who I believe is the center for Indiana. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know another one of them went to Nebraska. So like they had guys get injured last year, including Jagasaw, who came back in the Orange Bowl and dominated, like Ant says. But they had guys get injured last year, and then they had other players step in. And of course, you saw how good their offensive line was. Even with all the injuries, they still went to the championship. So they had a lot of depth. Now, I will say, this is the thing about the portal. It's very hard to have depth in the portal because what happened with Notre Dame is, okay, you guys get hurt, you guys come and step in to start. So when the other guys get healthy, now you have a surplus of offensive linemen. So teams like Indiana, Tennessee, Nebraska come and get those guys because only 5 are going to start. So if 3 guys start in the absence of some injured players and the injured players get back and take their job, those 3 guys are now starting caliber, national championship caliber players on the market. And they got taken by other Power 4 programs with big ambitions. So very hard to have a lot of depth in the portal. So, I think Notre Dame is feeling that a little bit. We're blessed. We had a very good retention period in the portal, maybe because our guys didn't play as much. So their market value probably wasn't the same as those Notre Dame guys who had the chance to play. But keeping Sampson, keeping Ryan Rodriguez, keeping Tommy Kinsler was big for our depth. But obviously, no one wants injuries. And I don't want injuries for Notre Dame. I want it to be a healthy game. Trigger 1, can Bryce Fitzgerald take the starter role? He's probably the best safety we have, but he's young. Or would you stick with the older guys? I mean, I like our old safeties. Zechariah Poyser's going to have a hard time seeing him off the field. Jacoby Thomas, what he brings with his experience and size and hitting, is what we need. So I don't see those guys necessarily getting off the field. But, I could see Fitzgerald playing a lot, and playing certain things, like situations more, particularly when we talk about his pass coverage, his ability. He can line up and cover guys like a corner. He can cover a ton of range because he has good instincts, good reads, and he runs a 4.3. So he's going to do a lot. I think at his current trajectory, and these things don't just go in straight lines. In current trajectory, I would say Fitzgerald's going to play a lot. Kyle's saying, just tell me our safeties this season are better tacklers than last season. I would say yes. Watch Zechariah Poyser last year as a freshman All-America. Georgia tried hard to get him to be a starter. Jacoby Thomas, watch his film in Tennessee. He played a lot. He's a nasty hitter. Tackling, I would say, is the strength of his game. Ant talking about Notre Dame. He said the 2 guys that left were likely in the 2 deep, but not starters. I think wasn't it 3 guys that left? It was Coogan, the center, Pendleton, the guard, and I think there was another guard. Correct me if I'm wrong, that left to Nebraska. But yeah, he's right. I mean, they were backups that started during their playoff run because other guys got hurt, and they showed that they were playoff caliber. So the guys that came back and took their spots were really, really good. So you don't think it's a huge drop off, but there is Spindler. That was the name I was looking for, Rocco Spindler. So on one hand, you say their best 5 are still their best 5. Guys just came back healthy, and the backups left, which is true. Now, the other part is you lose depth, and that obviously that depth helped them a lot last year because they had 3 guys injured and didn't miss a beat. Now you have Jagasaw injured. So I think Notre Dame's offensive line as a group is probably going to be a little less than last year just because they have less depth, but they're going to be an elite offensive line. I think even with all the guys leaving, the injuries, you got to expect Notre Dame to be elite on the offensive line because they recruit at elite level, they coach at elite level, and they're going to be ready to rock, man. Those guys are, you got to worry about them. I mean, this is why these guys are a top 5 team. That's why they're number 2 in the country last year. They're a good program, and their strength of the program's offensive line, as is Miami's, which is why the run game battle is so interesting. Big picture on the scrimmage, I think we ran the ball a lot better than we did last scrimmage. And that's not because of anything other than back and forth competitive battles with some really good players in practice. You better love somebody asking, why are the Canes not able to recruit better in the Tidewater area of Virginia? It's a great question. I'm trying to think of the last guy we got out of Tidewater. I know we got Travis Williams out of Norfolk, Virginia, maybe 15 years ago. It's been a while. We got a safety, Caleb Spencer, who then went to Virginia Tech and played against us last year. Good player, good hitter. So you haven't had a ton of luck. I'd hope we recruit that area better because it's a city, and cities are better areas for us as a whole. We got what's his name, Pharrell from Tidewater area, the music producer. He lives right by here. I think Timbaland is from Tidewater too, if I recall. He's down here too. So we're recruiting producers from that area, not necessarily recruiting football players. You got to do a better job there. Canes, I know the basketball team has gotten guys from there, but we got to get better there with football. So 2,400 on the show. Like and subscribe. We'll be dropping content nonstop. It's going to keep on rolling. Appreciate everybody joining us on the show. Go Canes.